Greetings ladies and gentlemen, I'm Volk and this is my video overview of the developer stream from the 30th of October 2014. Eric Muscu and Rob Hinkle sat down with the community for exactly 1 hour and gave us more details on the upcoming general changes to the combat system and mechanics, as well as other hints and tips. They talked a lot and I will do my best to shrink down and sift out all the important facts and news. The video will be structured in a few sections where I will talk about different parts of the combat in Star Wars The Old Republic and various types of changes that are planned for the new expansion. The order will be as follows: DPS changes, lowering the DPS in general; stat changes, what happens to accuracy and alacrity; user interface improvements, very important quality of life fix, introducing separate bars for buffs and debuffs; new class raid wide buffs for all different advanced classes; PvP changes, news about expertise, bolster and set bonuses; dots and cleanses, what, when and how will be cleansable; ability casting changes, better resource management for channeling skills; miscellaneous notes and Q&A notes; operation dummies getting new to line of sight effects, random mounts button possible for the future, and so on. Each of these sections will be expanded and explained in more details in the next few minutes. I did my best to make it as clear and as simple as I possibly could. I hope you like it. Starting with DPS changes. First and most important news is the fact that BioWare is not happy with how some players and classes over-exceeded the predicted numbers in damage. In 3.0, the total damage across all classes will be toned down. When we log in as level 55, we will be doing a lot less damage with the same gear we had prior to 3.0. Example given on the stream was that the player at level 60 with the new level 60 set endgame gear will be doing similar damage to what at today's level 55 with nightmare content gear 186 will be doing. Whether this is good or not, I will leave that for my live streams when I discuss it with viewers and friends. Or maybe I'll make another separate YouTube videos where I'll share my thoughts. This will be just informational structured video. The good news about Autoholics is that the developers will be dumbing down the leveling experience even more. Most will be scaled down in HP and will die faster and easier. The team is still debating at this point what exactly to do with the current endgame ops Dread Fortress and Dread Palace. With the lower damage in 3.0, they realize that some DPS check moments in some boss fights may become too harsh on players and they will tune it as they see fit after more testing. There is a possibility for the two ops to remain endgame and BioWare wants to keep them as an alternative pathway to gear for endgame at level 60. Be it with new tier gear set tokens dropping from different bosses, or ultimate commendations earned for boss kills and generally completing the operations. Speaking of ultimate commendations, there will be a conversion at 3.0. All of our current ultimate comms will be automatically converted to elite commendations. The elite ones will become basic and so on. This is done so that they will force us to start grinding from zero. Grinding is the best part of MMOs, and those who don't enjoy grinding don't play MMOs, right? No? Next is stat changes. A lot of passive abilities from the current skill trees will be removed from the game with the discipline system in Shadow of Revan. Accuracy is one of these stats, as well as the main stat for some classes. New mechanics for specific bosses will force the tanks to gear for accuracy, because now the taunt abilities will miss if the accuracy is not enough. This is true for both PvP and PvE. To balance things out, the developers are making changes to stances and some other skills. For example, tank stances will likely give a plus 10% accuracy bonus at the cost of damage. Some specific bosses will have special requirements, so we will likely see tanks stacking accuracy for these specific fights. Alacrity. I have lost count how many times the team attempted to make some good use of this stat. It's always been the black sheep in the stat herd. Now, Alacrity gets a new and deserved attention and a boost. It will, as of the day of streaming, speed up ability activation, global cooldown and resource regeneration. It will also speed up the dot ticks and make them tick quicker and sooner one after another, as well as it will speed up the duration of channel and the dots themselves. Reduce internal cooldowns on things like proc skills. Basically, the stat will boost everything and lower all possible timers in the game, including abilities, cooldowns, dots, ticks, intervals, and so on. There will be a brand new tier of augments and augment kits. You guessed it, they will probably be much more expensive than the current tier 9 ones. No plans for now to change crit ratings. They said they're happy with the balance of crit for now, but will monitor it closely in 3.0 and make changes as they see fit. UI changes. Oh my god, 3 years of waiting and it's finally here. Let me start over. In 3.0, we already learned from the first stream and my video overview about disciplines that we get a cool new highlight effect on proc skills that will make much easier to notice when we have a proc somewhere. The big news is we finally get user interface tools to separate buffs from debuffs. Along with that option, tons of smaller tweaks in the UI editor are available to do all sorts of cool things like specific order of the buffs on the toolbar, highlights for the buffs whenever they are our own, durations, locations, direction of stacking, left or right on the screen I mean. Right now this is only available for the player buffs and debuffs. The team is looking for a possible fix to rate frames in the future, but they didn't state when exactly, as well as target and target of target and so on. Red white buffs. Bloodthirst will likely still remain the most overpowered buff, or at least I see it like this, until we see the specific changes for the Marauder and Sentinel classes. There will be debuffs and buffs that will affect different classes, players and types of monsters. We still don't have an exact confirmation which advanced classes will get which red white buff, but we do know that we will have Bloodthirst, as it is now or very similar, as well as crit boost and alacrity boost from different advanced classes. More on that when BioWare blogs and live streams about each advanced class discipline start rolling in November. PvP changes. First, expertise will remain in the current level 55 gear. It will not be removed like what they did with 2.0 and the previous expansion. Its cap will still be 2018, no changes made there. With the expansion, players will have access to 2 new sets of gear, one for the regular PvP comms and one for the ranked PvP comms, as usual. The bolster is getting yet another revision and some tweaks and buffs. Until now, this buff did not take under consideration the stats from augments, so this was all free bonus to those of us who had augments. The devs are aiming for a 20 to 25% difference between the fresh new player and a full geared PvP master. These are their words. Purely stat-wise, we'll hope that player skills will keep their meaning and impact. The bolster will calculate each gear item separately based on expertise and its stats. Player in full endgame PvE gear will receive less boost from bolster. The formula behind the buff is based on a specific rating that BioWare compared all the gear to. If the equipped gear is lower than this rating, it will get boosted. Dots and cleanses. As of 3.0, all dots will be uncleansable. Good news for some, horrible news for others. This is done, according to BioWare, to keep the dot specs viable in all aspects of the game, mostly PvP. Purge ability still works. Just to clarify here, Purge are abilities that players cast on themselves, while Cleanses are abilities we cast on other players. NPC dots will still be cleansable. It is still not decided if we will have one united cleanse or the different types will remain in the game, such as tech, physical and so on. Abilities and casts. The interrupt monkeys will have harder times in the game come 3.0. The shortest interrupt will now be 12 seconds and the highest cooldown for all the classes will be 18 seconds. This change, BioWare said, is made to ensure players pay attention to what they interrupt and when. In PvP this will provide for some fun moments, and in PvE it will provoke team play, as one person won't be able to interrupt everything alone anytime. The next major change is a great quality of life fix for channeling abilities and classes who have those. Just to clarify, channel is when the effect of the cast starts immediately with the key press. Cast is when you have to wait specific amount of time before your ability is executed. So now, channels will take resources per tick and not all the resource points prior to the start of the channeling ability. I could not understand that clearly, but I firmly believe they mentioned pushbacks being removed from the game. So I guess from now on nothing will slower or bug channeling and casting abilities. Miscellaneous changes. Operation Dummies will get a new boost on the armoring debuff that will apply all the buffs and debuffs for optimal DPS check and tests. A few more names for new disciplines popped up during the stream. Lethality will be specific for operatives from now on, while Virulence is the new name for the spec for snipers. That's the right class tree again. For my previous video we already know that Madness Assassin does not exist in the game anymore. Now we will have Madness Sorcerer, and Hatred is the new name for this discipline for the Assassin class. In the end, while I leave you a few more notes from the Q&A session that took place in the last 20-ish minutes of the stream, I want to say a big thank you everyone for watching. I hope this information was useful to you. There is a lot more on Reddit, mainly from the data mined posts, but since this video only deals with official announcements from BioWare and their statements, I will leave the mining to our famous SWTOR miner and the new face around the block, SWTOR Potato. Do not forget to leave me a comment and share your thoughts with me. Let me know what you liked or disliked about this video and the in-game changes in general. Have a great day everyone. I will see you in my next Star Wars The Old Republic video. Bye bye.